for my kitchen because currently there's no blind up whatsoever. When I go into my kitchen at the moment and it's pitch black outside, I'm not overlooked by many people, but I am overlooked by some people. And I can see myself in the mirror, in like the reflection of the window. So of course I'm like, well, I can see myself, so I might as well dance, obviously. But I don't know if anyone can see me, so I've taken some big risks. But I thought, yeah, I could at least have the option to close the blinds and protect my neighbour's sight. So feel free to say hello if you fancy it, or tell me what you're up to. What are you doing with your, what day is it? Sunday evening. Don't need that yet. Look at all these bits. These are some, got these little sticks that you put in, then this bit goes in the bottom, I think. It's like a set. Makes it a little bit easier. Right, I'm going to measure this piece and work out how many sections to put it in, because there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. And I'm going to get a pencil. I am coming back. Oh, even better than a pencil, it's tailor's chalk, which is the same colour as my nail varnish. This basically allows you to draw on fabrics. Don't know if you can see that, but it basically comes off in the wash, so. Oh, wallpapering. Did you have to remove the wallpaper? Because that's my least favourite job. Where are you going to get your paint from? Go back, because I've already missed one. Spider lady, yeah, that's me. I've actually, I've just been doing, that's why I'm wearing the lipstick. I was just doing a video for choosing my next outfit, because I've been taking votes from one of my last videos. I don't think many people saw it. It wasn't well circulated. But I'm picking my next superhero, and I've got like, I ordered 4 basically. I thought if I order 4, I can see what they fit like, and then those were like the 4 that were most popular at the time, so I thought one of them was bound to win. Well, that's one way of doing it. I dislike wallpapering so much, or taking the wallpaper. Thank you for the invite. I think I'm preferring just to hang out with myself today, but thank you for the invite to join you. Yeah, I think I'd rather the wall fell down just so I didn't have to take the wallpaper off. The dungarees have made made a return. It was pointed out to me that more friends have dungarees than I realised. You might not have seen it. I did a story on Instagram about how I turned up to see my sister. Never had dungarees before. She's never had dungarees before. We just happened to be wearing exactly the same thing. Just sister telepathy, I think. Oh. Yeah, no walls ever straight. I did my current kitchen. It was the first one that I've ever done, and I fully expected everything to be straight. I thought I'd just put it in, drill it to the wall, it'll be fine. No, it's not. It's a bit more complicated than that. I thought it would be a lot more straightforward. I empathise with that. Yeah, it's a good idea about how to. So I've sort of put up that video with some asking people for different options, and from that I've got 4 that look like they're going to be the most popular. I bought those 4. Well, one's still in the post. That's why I haven't finished the video yet, because I was going to publish it yesterday. And let you decide from those 4. Okay. And it might indicate a little bit what project I do next, because one of them is Superwoman, and it has a very short skirt, so I'm probably not gonna paint the front of my house in that superhero outfit, because it would probably cause accidents on the road. Safety first. Oh yeah. Oh, that's a shame to have to do it up in a 1800s house. As soon as you mentioned you had the dungarees, I was like, yeah, you do. I have lied a little bit. Not being very considerate. I'm letting myself get distracted by whatever. I don't know if you can see it. There's like a little thing across the top of the screen that I'm just enjoying. Don't fancy any medication, but thank you for asking. Hacksaw blades together. I think I need to get some glasses, you know, because this is so small. I'm like an old lady. Yeah, 1890 sounds about right. It's painful, isn't it? These old houses are so pretty, but such a heap of pain. It's unreal. Not old enough. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, it might have reached that time in life. I might get like a really goofy pair just to sort of really embrace the change in life situation. I got some teal paint at B&Q, the Valspar range. I don't know what it's actually called. Had some really nice colours in there for teal. I don't know if you're UK based. I think you've got my glasses choice down to a T. I think I do it unironically. To be like, this is just me now. This is just how it's gonna be. God, 7-foot gate. Was that quite heavy? Like a bit of B&Q. Their delivery charges are shocking, but apart from that, 46, so 46 inches is the length of this. And I need to put 5 of these in here. It's laughing at the long spaghetti arms. I go climbing sometimes, and I've usually got quite good strength for the wall, even if I've not been for a long time. But like, how are you keeping up your strength if you're not going climbing? It's like, well, I'm lifting plasterboard and I'm lifting just stuff all day. I just seem to be lifting stuff all the time. Some stuff's just so hard to lift by yourself as well. I'm making Roman blinds, which I've never made before, so they're going okay. I think it's going to turn out well. It's using this system, so there's like a strip of fabric that you sew onto the back in 5 lines, and then this thing goes through the hole to keep that straight, and then the mechanism clips in to each one in this little, it's like these little hooks, you probably can't see them too well. It's little loops, not hooks, loops. And that's how you pull it up. Oh. But I don't know how much to do between each one. I think they should be even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't do maths. What's 46 divided by 6? I legitimately would need to use my calculator on my phone for that. I'm not going to get very far on this today, am I? Let me write that down. Oh, that'll do. So my diary's got all my secrets in it. 46 divided by 6. Otherwise I miss loads of messages, not paying enough attention. I'm also a fan of Screwfix. There's actually a lot of places that I go to. Making some Roman. Oh, you already said. Thanks, Becca. You are promoted to moderator. Oh, thank you for being my mathematicians. 4.6. So 4.6. So 0.6 of an inch is like just over half an inch, isn't it? This is how I normally do stuff. It's just made up. If it looks like things are well thought out and considered. So 7.6. So that's going to be like 7. I'm going to do 7.5 just because it's a little bit easier. 7.5. And let's see if they come out right. What are you up to tonight, Becca? Sitting in your dungarees, feeling sad that I've forgotten about you. 7.5. That leaves a little bit left. How much is left then? Yeah, so as expected, so it ends up being like 8.5 because I've missed out some of the other bits. I wonder if that will matter. I think it will just make the top bit. So the top bit would then be a little bit longer. And I don't want that, I want them to all be equal. So I'm going to measure it from the top and then have any excess on the bottom, because that won't matter because you won't be able to see it. Dream woman. Yeah, well, looks can be deceiving. I've actually, I've got a terrible personality, and I think that's probably the main reason I'm single. So the DIY would really be all I have to offer. No, pros and cons. Sounds like you've got good skill set between you doing blinds and curtains, stud walls and plasterboard. It would be nice if, it's nice when you live with other people and you can split jobs. Don't currently have that joy. I'm gonna have to remember which lines are which now. Yeah, you sussed it out faster than I did. The bottom bit is the better place to have the lines, isn't it? I don't have any pet. Well, that's actually not true. I was just about to pretend I didn't have any goldfish as well. I have 10 goldfish in the garden. They do have names. The two biggest ones are Mr. and Mrs. Kingfisher II. There was a Mr. and Mrs. Kingfisher I. And then all of the little ones have various names. 7.5. I'm going to tick the one that I want. And I've also got 7 goldfish that I have inside, which I periodically give updates on Instagram to show you how big they're getting. Bye. Hello, Ellie. Is it Ellie? Just trying to see the name. Need to put my body in the right place. Oh, I think I'm accidentally trying to invite people. Don't know how to use this. Yeah, I did forget about your fish, didn't I? You were the godparent to my fish. How did I get into DIY? Well, I bought my first house about 8 years ago and realised really quickly that I wasn't actually going to be able to look after it. I'll put my top up because you know what TikTok's like. It's a bit terrified of things. And I realised really quickly that I didn't quite know how to look after the house. Like, no one really teaches you how to look after a property. You don't learn it in school. People might learn it from their parents if they're like so inclined. But yeah, like a pipe burst and I had loads of water flooding into the house and it scared the crap out of me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to learn whatever I need to so that I can look after this house and not feel quite so scared of it, because it can be quite intimidating. And my first job was putting up a shelf. That was the first thing that I learned how to do. And the experience was a bit like, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try it, and then if it doesn't work, I can like phone up like someone on TaskRabbit or something and get them to come and... I don't think it was TaskRabbit because I don't think they were even around as a company then, but someone will come and help me sort this out. But I still want to try it for myself first. And then I did it, and it was done, and it was good, and I was like, oh, that was easier than I expected. And that sort of sense of accomplishment you get from achieving something is so rewarding, because you think, I didn't think I could do that, but then I did it, and now I've proved to myself that I can do it, and that's incredibly like rewarding. It feels really good. How many hours a day do I do DIY? I do a lot of hours on DIY. I really quite enjoy it. It's quite a mindful activity for me. So where people quite like reading or something like that, I really enjoy working out problems and putting things together and making things look pretty. And of course, at the moment, I'm putting quite a lot of energy into producing quite a lot of videos. So I'll do one video every day, and so I have to create enough content for those videos. And usually if I'm doing one of my like follow along projects, I'll just do it on what I'm doing that day. So I'll be like, this was hard and this was easy and this is what went well and whatnot. But on days that I'm not doing my follow along project, so I'll do a follow along project and then I'll have a little break of a month or so, or even just a couple of weeks, and then come back to do my next project. And so I'm in that gap at the moment, and probably start one up in the next couple of weeks. So in this interim, I'm producing content just based on what I'm doing in a day. So at some point I'll publish something on these. I've got to do two, so I'm doing this one first to try it out, and then I'll do another one where I'll show how it's actually done, something that I can put into 30 seconds. And I'm also going to make this one of my YouTube videos, because I'm going to start doing weekly YouTube videos, as I need to sort of find better ways of getting paid for my content. So I'm going to start producing stuff on there as well as TikTok, and give people a reason to want to follow me on there, because at the moment there's not really much content, so there's not really much for people to see above and beyond my TikToks, which I repost. So I'm going to actually create some stuff that would make people want to follow me on there, and this might be one of those, I think. Just reading about your tropical fish disaster. R.I.P. fish. Thanks, Ellie. Yeah, I'm really glad that there's stuff that you find helpful, because that's what I'm always trying to do. I try and get a good mix between like fun trend videos and stuff that's actually useful, because I see so many trends and I'm like, I really want to do a video on that, but it's not like, there's no depth to it, there's nothing interesting to really see. So I do sometimes do those just because they're fun and talks about DIY and gets people talking. But yeah, I try to do sort of how-tos and for the most part. Do you do your own plastering? I did do my own plastering for a couple of spaces in the basement, because I wanted to see what it's like. I like to try DIY, any sort of DIY at least once, just to see if I find it quite hard or if it's fun or what I can sort of learn from that. But I probably won't be doing much more because the person that I have coming to do my plastering is very good, he's very competent. He's quite unreliable and very late, but you know, you take what you can get when it comes to tradespeople sometimes. But he's quite reasonable and he does a really good job, and it would cost me more to do it myself. So if I think something is going to be more costly doing it myself and I don't enjoy it, because if it costs me more but I love doing it, then that's an easy decision. But yeah, it just makes more sense for me to contract that out. How much more work have you got to do in your house? So I've got my basement room, so I've got 2 basement rooms. The other one's going to be an Airbnb. That needs to be done. There's also a hallway connected to that needs to be done at the same time. And the stairwell going down to the basement. So there's kind of a whole area there that needs to be done that's really quite a mess at the moment. And I want to do some stuff in my bathroom because that was one of the first rooms that I did, and it needs a little bit of TLC now, which is always the way. By the time you finish renovating your house, you're like, oh, well, the first room is a complete tip again now. The walls are scuffed, or, you know, it just doesn't work for whatever reason. You need to update it. How did you make sure the weight would dissipate effectively with wood? I don't think I understand the question. It might have been related to something we were talking about and I've just forgotten because more than 2 seconds has passed. And if so, is it a hard? Do you do your own plaster? Oh, right, okay, just following on from that. Plastering question. It does always feel good when you find a problem that you can fix. Being able to fix stuff yourself feels so good. And even if you're like, oh, okay, I actually can't do this myself, you've given it a go and you've found where that limit is. And if you're doing stuff all day, every day, that is easy for you, it can feel like a bit stifling. But when you try something and you're like, oh, that's actually a little bit too hard, it's like, oh, this I found my limit at the moment. I want to maybe come back to this another time and push that. Do you have a full-time job around DIY? So this is currently my full-time job. I left my 9 to 5 because I thought, do you know what? I want to work 24/7. It really is true that you work so many more hours as a self-employed person. I mean, I guess that's not true for everybody, but that's certainly been my experience. And that's just because I'm still working my way up. I'm still working out ways that I can get income, like the YouTube videos. Once you've created those, they can bring you in a small, steady revenue. And TikTok's a bit like that, you know, like loads of my older videos get viewed all the time, but the amount they pay is so low that it's not really significant. I'm sure at least some of you follow Hank Green and might have watched his YouTube video that he talked about TikTok and the amount of money that they share isn't necessarily pro-creator. Do you have any children? I do not have any children. I have 17 goldfish. Hi, Sophie. If it is Sophie. That's exciting. Yeah, there's loads to do when you move in somewhere, isn't there? It's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts. Nuts. Even mistakes can be learnt from. Absolutely. Don't glue up shelves. I feel like that's totally something that I would have done. Even in my last project, I tried connecting a handrail through the plasterboard using plasterboard fixings. And as I was doing it, I'm like, this is not going to work. It will not be strong enough. And then I just still carried on. And then I was like, well, I don't know why I've done this because it's just not going to be strong enough. Just absolute stubbornness. What time is it there? It is 9:20 in the evening. 9, yeah, well, it probably was 9 when I started reading this comment section because I'm so slow. 9:14. That means I literally am 6 minutes behind on your comments. I'm a slow reader. Sorry, guys. Where do you go to check your information? Lots of places. So, first and foremost, I'll just do a Google search, and lots of stuff will either come up from Pinterest or YouTube, or even just people that have done blog articles. I actually have, hold that thought for 1 second. Even stuff like this. These are fairly old, so they're a little bit dated, but still useful, you know, just to check, oh, I was going to do this thing this way, is that right? And you can go and check and it'll be like, that is right, and you'll be like, oh, I'm really smart. That's a nice floor. I won't look at these because that will be here all night looking at them, but these are two that I've got. Complete DIY manual, DIY tips. But also sometimes I just test things out and see if they work. Sometimes there's ways of doing things that aren't always online. Oh, thank you. What's it? I can't read it against the white. PJ9. Thank you. Glad that you like it. I will get on YouTube and create some longer form content. People have been asking me for ages for it, and I've just not been able to prioritise it over other ways that I've been trying to make money, copywriting and things like that. My unique selling point. Well, currently my unique selling point is dressing like a superhero. I don't know how I don't know how this happened, but that's who I am now. Took your builder 8 months to finish 2 walls. My gosh. Yeah, I get really nervous relying upon other people. That's probably, like, I'm good at the DIY side, probably because I so badly don't want to have to call someone in. See you, Ellie. You're probably already gone, but I will see you soon. Workman ran on tea. Is that a blind you're making? Yes, this is a Roman blind. But as per usual on lives, I'm like, I'm going to be doing this thing and then do absolutely nothing towards it and just chat to you. Because that's more fun. And I haven't been on for ages. I'm glad that you feel empowered. That makes me very happy. Because that's what I want, really, for people to have a go at something they've been thinking about doing. And sometimes people just need permission to do things. I won't change my bathroom too much, don't worry. How long does DIY take, like fitting a kitchen? Well, it took me a fairly long time because I wasn't doing it against a deadline. I was doing it to learn, so I liked the process and I wanted to. I wasn't actually recording then, so when I did my kitchen was a couple of years ago, and I didn't really start recording my progress until, I mean, it was probably about that time, but I wasn't recording it in the same way, whereas now I might show specific details, whereas before I might do like a before and after. But I don't really know, because the whole thing needed doing, like even the floor needed to be replaced, and then I needed to retile the floor, needed to replace some plasterboard, so I really stripped everything out. And I don't do one room at a time, so I'll do it by theme. So when I first move in somewhere, like the general idea in terms of a renovation is like strip everything out, so get rid of everything you don't need, stick it in the tip, the skip, or take it to recycling or wherever it needs to go. And then you fix all of the stuff that, like building work, like if the roof is falling in, if there's an extension you need to do, you might do that then. And then you move on to stuff like plumbing and wiring, because sometimes people are like, why don't you just do one room at a time? And the danger with that is you might finish one room and then realise you've got some plumbing to do in that room, so you're having to take up the floor and the walls to do stuff, to fix stuff that affects the entire house. So any sort of plumbing or electrics is better done together at the start. And then, you know, because I don't have a car, and so I rely upon stuff being delivered to me. So whilst I'm waiting for stuff to be delivered, I might start on a different project. So that's a really long way of saying I don't really know, but probably like a number of weeks. Did you work out which wood to use in order to hold enough weight? Oh, you're talking about with the shelf. The shelf that I made, I actually just bought a set. So I bought something from the shop that had brackets on it already. So I knew that it would already be set up to work as a shelf successfully. I didn't sort of make it from scratch. Haven't looked at Skillshare. It is something I've considered. And it's something I might come back to, but I'm really keen that any content that I make is accessible and affordable to everybody. So I didn't like the idea of doing something like Skillshare because it made it exclusive and it meant that only people that could afford it could access it. Notwithstanding that I might get to a point where I need to do something like that just to be able to fund what I'm doing. But before I get to that point, what I'm wanting to do is to set up stuff on YouTube and on platforms that pay more than what I'm currently doing. And working with companies, doing collaborations, has continued to be quite successful. So I may well do Skillshare if I don't think I can continue to make it 100% for free. That would be my preference. Hi Ben. Number 1 DIY. Thank you. And I feel like I want a medal or something. Yeah, ripping everything out. Great. I love the ripping out phase. I'm such a fan. Thank you, Matt. Yeah, my DIY books are my fave. Yeah, they do. I don't think you want to stick that in your ear though. I get in trouble with one of those TikTok ear doctors. A friend laughed at you because you made decon out of doors. I don't know what decon, that spelling I think was meant to be something else. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like you're doing some amazing DIY. Yeah, I'm friends are like, oh, what are you up to this week DIYing? So, oh, well, I'm just taking down a wall, you know, as you do. Oh, I love skips. I go for runs around my local area, and I'm in between a really nice fancy area and an area that is less fancy but a bit more affordable, which is not an accident because this is where I naturally want to live, but that's about twice out of my budget. And then across the road is the slightly more affordable area. And when I go running in the fancy area because they've always got skips and they've got like doors that they're throwing away or like amazing stuff. And I'm like, can I have that? Thank you very much. Love the skips. Yeah, I really do. I love working with companies. It's not always straightforward because I'm really picky about who I work with. I have to like them. And it has to be a company that fits with my values and my morals, and even better if it's something that I already use. Because I'm not very good. I don't know if anyone else has this, but I'm not very good at fibbing. So if I don't like something, I think you'll be able to tell. Yeah, so like I do get lots of offers from different companies, and they either, you know, aren't looking. It's going to continue fighting with this top all evening. Sorry. Either they're not looking for something that's at the budget that I'm asking for, or it's companies that do stuff that just either isn't related to DIY or just not something that I would buy, and I can't recommend something that I wouldn't buy myself, because I'm just a terrible liar. Have I thought about some branding or merchandise? I would if it was useful. So I don't like producing stuff that doesn't have like an end use. And what I mean by that is I wouldn't produce something that I thought was just going to end up in landfill. But I would produce something that I thought people actually needed. So for example, overalls or dungarees for doing DIY in, there's only really one company that I know of in the UK who makes that for women doing DIY. Of course, you can wear any DIY clothes that are out there, but typically, even if they're sort of labelled as unisex, they're built around the male body, and typically, I don't know if you might not know this, but typically women's bodies are shorter in the torso and longer in the legs. Not in every case, but this is just a typical of sizing. And men have longer torsos and shorter legs. And I know this because I have a longer torso. I've got a very masculine frame. And so if you are trying on clothes that are designed for men, or they're designed as unisex, that's probably why people struggle to fit in. People with a more slender frame, more curvy frame, won't really fit into them well. Point being, I would make some sort of clothing that I thought people would actually use, and my background is clothing. This is what I did at university. I did clothing design and technology, so sort of running a clothing company was always something that I wanted to do, but never knew what I wanted to produce, so it's kind of a maybe for the future. But yeah, I've got no idea what would be the slogan. What's the slogan of my channel that's interesting enough that people would want to have it on a t-shirt? I better catch up with these messages, I'm really far behind. I did go to university. See, I've managed to answer that without even getting to the question. Yeah, my face gives it away as well. I'm really bad. It's like when you get something for Christmas and it's like, oh, I bought you this for Christmas. And it's like, thank you. Everyone knows. Oh, a special set of screwdrivers. Oh, I like that. I think dungarees would definitely be what I would go for. Because I can see the gap. Like, I can't buy any. I want to buy some. There is one company that do them, and their stuff is, oh, I don't know, it's just not. It's nice, but if I had other choices, it might not be what I would pick. Velcro, maybe. I think the ones that I've seen, they're not Velcro. They're like clips, like plastic clips. Yeah, you heard it here first. This is where the business starts, the clothing business. Dungaree DIY. DIY dungarees. I like it. Maybe that's it. Yeah, think about that slogan, because I don't really have, like, you know, some, like lots of creators have their thing, or the thing they always say, or I do like my daily dose of DIY because it has alliteration and it sounds cool. But I don't think that makes for very interesting t-shirt slogans. Yeah, well, I bought these dungarees to DIY in, knowing that at some point they're going to get covered in paint or all sorts, which is sad because they were very expensive and I'd rather not get them covered in anything. Hoodies with kangaroo pockets. Definitely has to be pockets. There would be pockets in my dungarees. There'd be many pockets. Hey Sally, how you doing? Thank you. Yeah, they're quite new actually. Someone dungarees. Overall, Emma. I like it. I'm loving these ideas. Actually, that contact would be amazing because I'm still yet to do the research for UK manufacturers. I've got loads of really great contacts for United States, for Canada, even for loads of places in the Far East, because I used to work in clothing and I used to go visit suppliers. But I don't have anything that's UK based or Europe, which is where I'd prefer to be sourcing more locally. So thank you, I appreciate that. Feel free to drop that to me. So this particular one is Tommy Hilfiger. I do like Fat Face. I used to work for a company called Weird Fish, which their HQ is based up in Cheltenham. And they used to copy, I think there's no other word for it. They kind of used to just copy what Fat Face did. They'd say it was a bit different, which is, the case in clothing. If you can make it a little bit different, then you've not really copied. But it was strikingly similar. But it meant that I quite liked Fat Face as well because it was so similar. And I quite liked, obviously, the brand that I was working for. Oh, I love that. Daring to DIY. Try Emma's overalls, designed for women. I can see the ad already. I have to remember that. I'll have to... These lives get stored, don't they? So I can come back and look at it. Gel knee pads. They would be useful. I still don't have anything like that. My poor knees. Where did doing DIY in a Spider-Man outfit come from? Idea. So this was to celebrate there being 50,000 of us. So it was just before I'd reached 50,000 followers and I wanted to do something to celebrate because I thought it was kind of fun and just kind of like just super chuffed with how many people were interested in DIY and I felt very celebratory. So I said I'll do my next project dressed as a superhero just for fun. So I thought it'd be quite fun. And I did that and it kind of accidentally became my thing as by the time I'd finished that project and I was like, oh, it's time to say goodbye to Wonder Woman. I was like, phew, that outfit was terrible to wear. So uncomfortable. But I learned my lesson and so now when I buy outfit superheroes, I always buy something that's a one piece and that's comfortable. If it looks like a onesie and it feels like a onesie, I'm buying it. But Wonder Woman was especially uncomfortable. So I said goodbye to Wonder Woman and then I was just at the point of there being 100,000 of us. And so I was like, well, I guess let's celebrate again. This is wonderful news. And then I wore that outfit. And then, of course, it's kind of just gone from there. And now this is going to be my third superhero. And there's now just over 250,000 of us. So maybe that's good timing. And it's just fun. It just makes me really happy. So I love that, people tell me all the time that they think it's fun and they find it really enjoyable to watch. And so I'm like, well, I'll keep doing it then. Just scanning because I'm catching up. Got loads of weird fish stuff. Set up his business plan. Yeah. Well, would you like to see my current business plan? It's absolute chaos. Oh, I'm probably going to regret this. Ooh, this is for DIY with Emma. This is my how the heck do I find a way to get paid so that I can continue to do DIY for people for free. I'm going to pop you back. I'm going to make a bit of a mess doing it. That's better. I do think there's a gap in the market, yeah. Like an episode of The Apprentice. I don't actually watch it. I've only ever watched one, I think. And I remember thinking it was really scary. Like, everyone was really mean to each other. So I can't tell if this like being like a episode of The Apprentice is a good thing or a bad thing. Dragon's Den. Oh, like Dragon's Den kind of vibe. Oh, that would make sense then about The Apprentice. Yeah, I mean, maybe I should start pitching to you. So this is my Roman blind. I'm wanting a 15% share for £6 million. You should definitely give me that money. How did I do? DIY onesies. Oh, that's so comfortable. Just the sound of it makes me feel really joyful. I can't imagine them getting excited about dungarees. They'd ask me like, well, why is this different to dungarees that are on the market? And I'd be like, I don't know, just give me 6 million. Oh, excuse me. Have you got a business mentor? So there is a company whose name I forget. There's something like Business Southwest or something, who offer business support to people starting up businesses. And I have some support from them for a limited period of time. So I do have some level of business mentorship, and I've also got a coach as well. Do you think 6 million isn't enough? Shall I ask for more? They can have the fiver, but they're not allowed the cat. They can't afford it. 0% share for 50,000. I mean, I can't see why they wouldn't go for that. They should just pay that to be in my presence. I was thinking about crowdfunding, but I couldn't work out what it was that I would be like. What would my value proposition be? But I'm thinking about making some dungarees. Maybe I should think about that a little bit more. Material choices in the pockets. I guess that is true that at the moment you can buy dungarees, but because they're not designed for DIY, they're not quite robust enough. So there is something in that. I'm gonna have to do this now, aren't I? I'm pretty much signed up for it. Thoughts on tiling over old tiles. I actually wrote an article for Home Building and Renovation, which the link is in my bio, on tiling very recently, tiling a wall. And I think tiling over tiles is a great and inexpensive way to finish your space. You have to kind of make sure that the wall you're putting on it is strong enough to hold it. So if you've got a wall that's maybe just plasterboard, and you've got especially heavy tiles, you might find that weight is a bit much for the wall. And you have to do some sort of primer. So you can buy primers. In fact, they've even got links in the article to different primers. So if you go and check that out, then you can find what you need to buy. But you can like cover it with a primer so that there's something for the new adhesive to stick to. Or another way is you can like buff up the tiles with like a sander. So again, there's something for the new tiles to stick to. But I think it's good. I approve. could I offer workshops? I could offer workshops and people making their own dungarees. I should buy a pattern maybe and do a couple of toiles, that's what they're called, the samples that you do for clothing before you do the final one. You do like a practice one, it's called a toile. Thank you, Tim. You're making me blush in the comments with your lovely comments that you're sharing. There is someone who I've recently followed who sells different types of vinyls to cover areas in the house that I thought were really cool. They look really nice. I'm actually wanting to cover my fridge. So my fridge is getting quite old and it's a bit scuffed and a bit ugly, but it still works completely fine. And so until the day that it dies, I want it to look pretty. I'm loving these like tagline ideas, making me smile. Magnets inserted into the bib to hold things, like is that like when they put like a little thing on the pocket and then you can just put the screws on the outside and it just sticks? Is that what you're thinking of? I could do seminars. Perhaps I could do a YouTube video on that. I would probably need to find a way of asking people what blockers they have to doing DIY, because there's obviously certain things that stop me from doing DIY that I had to overcome, but they might not be the same for everybody. So I might need to do a little bit of research on. Do you need a mod? I assume that means moderator. I don't know. I've never had a moderator before. What does that mean? That sounds like something quite helpful. Ooh, accidentally sending people things. Yeah, do you know what there should be? You know, like how you can't leave a shop if you've got one of their products, like the alarms go off and it's like this person's trying to steal something. Or even if you do it by accident and it goes off and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so embarrassed I haven't bought this thing. There should be one of those on a washing machine, so that when you try and put in your trousers and they're full of tissue or they're full of screws, the alarm should go off. Something else for Dragon's Den, maybe? I'm glad that you think I'd be a good lecturer. I find that very flattering. Barclays Life Skills, what's that? Is that like an online pool of information that Barclays have created? I don't think I know much about it. Hello, Mira. Make sure the YouTube vid is a listicle. What does that mean? Is that I've not come across that word before. I wasn't sure whether it was a typo for something else, or was that's just a word that I just don't know yet. Yeah, 5 things about DIY you were afraid to ask. That's a good idea. I mean, it's a good enough idea that I'm going to write it down, because I'm going to post a video soon which basically says, hey, what longer form content do you want? Because I only want to produce videos that are going to be helpful, and so it therefore needs to be community led, if that makes sense. Like, because I've started doing this video on how to paint a wall, and I think that probably is helpful. But there's also quite a lot of other videos about how to paint a wall, and aside from maybe going into a bit more detail about stuff that they've just assumed is obvious and skipped over, which isn't especially helpful, I don't know how mine would be different. So that's why I've got to create that video to find out what's missing, what questions are being left unanswered on YouTube so I can make specific videos for those. Where's my pen? Now, what was I going to write down? I was going to write down about five things. I'm going to go back and look because that'll make it. 5 things about DIY you're afraid to ask. Mm-hmm. I love that you've put that you found a Stanley brackets bad TikTok word that had been through the wash. Yeah, any video that I post with a Stanley bad TikTok word just doesn't get shared very widely. It like really suppresses the views. And another thing that I don't like is, there's a tool. If you've got a nail that you need to put into a bit of wood, this is the tool that you might use to do that. TikTok does not like those at all. Any video I've ever produced, even if it's in the background, it will go under review and then it'll be approved, but the views will be really, really low. So I don't put them in my videos anymore. Hiya. That's basically what I want to do generally. Have any of you seen, there's a YouTuber called Dad How Can I think that's his handle. And he basically does anything that the kind of things that you might say to your dad, like, oh, Dad, how do I replace a tyre? How do I cook a boiled egg? All those sorts of things. And I love his account because it fills in all of that need, that gap from people that haven't necessarily had all the information that they needed on how to do those things, because they're not obvious. A lot of these things are not obvious. I'll put my dungarees up. I am from the UK. This tissue popping in the tumble dryer. That is a good idea to get rid of it. I actually don't have a tumble dryer, but just yesterday I wrote it down in my book. Where is it? Oh, I actually didn't write it down. Oh, it's proving to be a very helpful live, this one. Tumble dryer. So I have a list of things that I need to get shopping. This is my list of food. And then this is my wish list of things that I would buy if I had the money. It's a pressure washer. Oh, I'd love to get a pressure washer. I've just actually bought a jigsaw, treated myself at Christmas. To Emma from Emma, love you lots. Yeah, tumble dryer is now on my list. Hope there's nothing embarrassing on that list, because if there is, then you've seen it. But yeah, it's some really good advice. I think you might have sent me a gift. Thank you very much. That's really, really kind of you. Yes, it's the lipstick. It's a trick. I love how invested we are in this washing machine idea. I think it's another excellent idea. Listicle is a list of items. That's a very cute word that I will use from now on. I like that. Yeah, I was too scared to paint when I first started as well. It's funny, I had a friend come and help me. I doubt that she'd be watching this, but if she is, I'm very sorry. And she was helping me paint. It was kind of like a skills trade thing where she would do like a few hours for me and then I'd help them with something. It was just a bit of fun. And she was painting and was doing it, I don't want to say wrong because it's so subjective, but the brush was so dry that it was at risk of peeling off the paint underneath. So it wasn't a good way to do it and it was going to cause problems. So I guess it kind of was wrong. And I was like, this is witnessing stuff like that is so helpful, because I was like, I thought that painting was a no-brainer. You know, it's one of those things that people say like, oh, it's obvious. And I'm always like, no, it's not obvious. I'm always like being an ambassador for people not assuming that it's easy. But I was still surprised by this. I was like, how can you get this wrong? But yeah, I obviously didn't mock her for it. I thought I'd wait till now so I could do it publicly on this forum. So Hayley, there's no way you're watching this, but if you were, I'm really sorry. I could have been more helpful. But it made me realise I could probably do a video and show people how to do it. Video on filling hot, these are all really useful. I'm not going to write them down now because I'm 99% sure that I can access this live afterwards. That goes to show how very rarely I come on lives. I don't even know that. How to paint the stairwell. Dad used to do all your DIY. Now you've been trying to learn it. I'm probably pleased for you that you are getting into your DIY boots. Likewise, my dad also passed a few years ago, and it was only really after then that I got into DIY, and I know that he'd be incredibly proud of what I can do now, and I suspect that your dad would be too. Basic mistakes that people make while painting. Amazon ebook. What would I put in the Amazon ebook that would be high enough in value that people would get value from it? Just thinking, what would I? Because that's what I'm most worried about. I want people to buy it and be like, oh, this was such a good investment. You know, it'll be like a £5, and then they'll be like, oh, I wish I bought this sooner, or, you know, I want people to get a lot of value out of it. I don't know why I'm looking down at. Like, I literally have control over it, so why am I making this so tough? Just dumb. Doing dumb stuff. I'm glad that my voice and tone doesn't put you off. Or at least that's what I'm inferring from that. But it's so true. It is really true, because there are some people, there's some creators on here who absolutely nothing wrong with them. They've got great content, but there's just something about them that really grates on me. You know, when there's just someone who annoys you for no reason, and you know that it's probably just a reflection on yourself, and that perhaps you don't like those things about yourself, and therefore this other person becomes the target of your dislike. But there's definitely been creators that I've had to block because I just can't bear to see them on my For You page, and they've done nothing wrong. They're just, and I've no doubt that I'm in, you know, people's blocks list, because I'm sure there's people who can't stand the sound of my voice. Yeah, that wonky house. So I could range from budget to skills. Got a bit of catching up to do. I'm really behind on the comments. Sorry. I'm just a very slow reader, just taking life as it comes. I imagine this because it's perceived as dangerous. So you must be talking about the thing with the nail. And that shows me how far behind I am on my comments. Really far behind. Let's go. My next costume won't be Spider-Man. My next costume will be one of 4 different options. In fact, I might as well tell you about them. I think one of them's Captain Marvel. I think that's the one that hasn't arrived yet. Deadpool, which looks stupid on me. And that's the one that's got the most votes so far. So I don't know why. I don't know why you're doing this to me. Just kidding. Obviously, you know, totally fine. What's the other ones? Superwoman with the really short skirt. Gonna have to buy some trousers to go underneath. No, like really short. Like you can't pick up a pen, that sort of short. And the last one is Black Widow. But that outfit was too small, so I've got to send that back. So it'll be one of those 4. Don't mind me whilst I nod and read your comments. Oh, I'm learning more about listicle. I might miss some of this, but I will come back and read it, because pick it up from the saved thingy afterwards. How do you do the bit above the stairs without falling? A long stick with a brush on the end is my current method. I'm sure there's more sophisticated ways. Excuse my face, just while I catch up on your messages. Nearly there. This is incredible. That wasn't on the list, but no one's mentioned that one yet. That's interesting. There we are. Finally back at the beginning. I can pop you back. Oh. Oh my God. Should have just worn something else. Any recommendations for ladders for decorating? As in, what to use for decorating? I don't know if I fully understand the question. Mine is usually a health and safety violation whenever I paint a high area. All off to the shop. Yeah, that ladder in the hallway setup was, I mean, I don't have any fear of the height because I do lots of climbing, so it is actually quite high, but I'm like, oh, it'll be fine, just total blinders to it, just not, but I wouldn't recommend it. Feeling satisfied that I've caught up on the comments. Now I might even work out where these bits go. And if you are new to this conversation, I'm making some Roman blinds very slowly. Ooh, I'm just going to pin it in place with my... Don't even know if that's allowed on here, because the last time I got banned, I think it was because I was showing people the difference between drill bits, but I never found out why I was banned, so I don't know if it was that, but I pretty much just keep all of my tools out of my live from now on. Loving hearing your stories about the horrific accidents from people standing on ladders. I'm actually going to paint the front of my house soon, hopefully a bit more towards spring. As you know, or you might know, I've just got a new front door, which I'm doing a reveal of quite soon. It's so nice. It's so nice. It's actually in now, but the people that I'm working with, Palladio Doors, they have like a professional videographer come in and record it, and the footage looks really good, and they're producing that video, and so that's what we're waiting for before we do the final reveal. And I'm also going to be doing a giveaway. Have you seen that flexible drill bit on TikTok? I haven't seen anything like that, but is it like one of the ones that's on a metal, like I don't know how I can describe it. It like rotates to round the corner. Thank you, Bloomsbury Square. I don't know your name, but thank you for all your ideas for this amazing business that I'm just about to do, obviously, and I'm going to get 6 million for 6%. Take care to you. These are the bits of tape that came with it. They already cut to the right size, which is handy. I'm going to sew 5 of them on. I've got more because I've actually got a completely separate Roman blind that I'm going to do after this one. I'm just working out if they're different lengths or not. 1, 2, those are the same size, almost. 1, 2, 3. That one's a bit longer. They're all actually the same size, which is unexpected. Oh, I know why they're the same size. Not paying attention. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good evening. Channeling. What does channeling mean? What is happening? I'm making a Roman blind, but what's truly happening is that I'm holding stuff and I'm talking to you, because that's more fun than doing this. So if I'm honest, that's what's really happening. If you've got questions, feel free to drop them. I'm a bit slow at answering them because I read quite slow, but oh, I'm blushing. Ah, you're DIYing. Oh, amazing. Oh, thank you for that, Rose. I feel really chuffed for you. What were you doing at DIYing? Let's try and see your username. Anna, oh, good for you. I feel so pleased for you. How does it feel? Is it done? Are you finished? I'm also too lazy to get a cup of tea because I'm absolutely parched. But I mean, while I'm talking to you, so that makes it a bit tricky. But yeah, sometimes I just dehydrated because I can't be bothered to stand up and get a glass of water. So I hear that. Oh, Anna, that's amazing. Well done. I did that with my kitchen. I got a quote to have it done, and I was like, oh, that's going to keep me up at night. So I ordered it all in, and it was actually fine. It's amazing how much you can learn so quickly when you have the right kind of determination. Decorating the bedroom, what kind of things are you doing? So are you painting, any sort of other home furnishings or curtains, or are they all done already? What colour are you going for? Put these ones down. My notebook for all the good ideas I've been getting, all the business ideas. DIY dungarees. Dungaree with Emma. Which way up do these go? That's a mighty good question. Maybe I'll just sew both ends. I think you're only supposed to sew the top from what I saw. I actually looked at a YouTube video to see how other people tackled this. But I think I might just sew the top and the bottom because the pole goes through the middle. Whee! But what I was wondering is whether it goes up that way or that way. But if I sew both the top and the bottom, maybe it won't matter. We'll see. If it's wrong, we'll soon find out. It can always be fixed. Oh, that's so satisfying to hear about your renovation. with my last place, I hadn't done much to it at all because I only really started learning DIY when I moved here. I did like a few bits, had the kitchen done, had someone come in to do that, painted the bathroom, did a few bits, painted the tiles. So I forgot a lot more. So, but part of that was, the area, it was up and coming, and so that sort of, affected the price as well. Yeah, the Spice Girls would be proud. There's something about, I can see because of your username. There's something about DIY and sewing that are quite linked, because my background is sewing and clothing, and that makes doing DIY a lot easier because I know how to put things together. When you learn how to put fabrics together, a lot of the mechanisms are the same. And you're local? Amazing. Do you have an accent? Yeah, I do spend a lot of my time doing DIY, I think more than I'd be willing to confess to. But yeah, 10 past 10 making a Roman blind seems about right. I haven't eaten any dinner. I've just realised I completely forgot. Painting a UPVC door. I don't know what kind of paint, but I do know, I remember there's a company called Decorating Centre Online, and I remember on their stories, on their Instagram at one point, somebody asked them that question and they recommended a particular paint that would be a little bit more, I think generally people don't advise it because they're not sort of designed to be painted, but it is doable. And they recommended a particular type of paint that would be the most successful. And so if you go and find them, then they might have an answer to it. That's what I would go and look. If I was going to find out, I'd go and search for them, see if I could find the story. If not, just reach out to them directly and say, hey, you recommended something, what was it? So that was Decorating Centre Online. How do you attach a dado rail? So this is going to be embarrassing for me, but I don't know what that is. I've heard of it. I've heard of it a lot of times. When you hear about something all the time and you're thinking, I think I'm supposed to know what that is, but I don't. And I get the sense if I ask, it's going to be really embarrassing for me. So what is a dado rail? And then I will tell you how I would fix it. See, I also don't think I have much of an accent, and in fact I know I don't, because when I travel, people think that I'm posh, and I'm like, well, that's ridiculous, because I couldn't be further from being posh. But compared to really thick Bristolian, I can see why they would think I'm quite posh. And it's only when I come on to places like here and there, I can really hear your accent when you say certain words, and I'm like, fair enough. Frenchick or Annie Sloane. Were those recommendations for the PVC door? I know what Frenchick is. That's nice furniture paint. They might also do PVC stuff. Is Annie Sloane also a paint manufacturer? I've been meaning to try Zinza bin primer because I see so many people using it for furniture to block out stains and stuff, but I've never tried it. I've always been a little bit intimidated by the price, but I will try it soon. Spider Girl, yeah, that's me. I think no matter which superhero I am now, I'm always going to be Spider Girl. I'm getting some good hacks for you, PVC, in the comments. Oh, that's the dado rail. Do you know what? I did know that. It wasn't a test, I just forgot. And good question about how to fix them. It depends what you're going to use them for, I think, because quite often people use those to hang pictures on, like, you know, if they're going to put little hooks in the dado rail and have a picture hanging down. If I was going to put up rails that I knew I wanted to hang stuff from, I'd feel better if I knew that they were screwed in. But if you weren't going to put anything decorative on them, you could get away with gluing them. If you change your mind, they're easier to take off if you use screws, because the glue will just put away all the plaster. So I think I'd probably use screws. Everyone knows what dado is apart from me. RVR paint for PVC. Well, thank you for suggesting those. I better try that paint then. Hello. Do you pronounce your username Nunzi? I have to ask because I often say things in my head, and then when people come on, I'm like, oh hey so and so, and they're like, is that how you've been saying it? And then it's just embarrassing for everybody. But hello, that was what I was going to say. Nice to see you. Oh, the picture. Okay, so I think it's clear that I don't know what a dodo is. Oh, I mean, I guess if it's the lower one, then it's not going to be something you're hanging stuff from. It's just going to be as you say, perhaps when things butt up against it. Yeah, I mean, what did I use for mine? I actually just used glue on mine. So I'm talking about my panelling, not the actual dodo rail. When I did my panelling, I just did glue, and the reason I did glue is because I'm gluing it against plasterboard. And to screw into that is not going to be very secure. Or even nails, it's not going to hold it on, so I used glue for that. So I guess both. It depends what you can get away with, I think. I'm glad that I pronounced your username right. I'm the only one to say it right. Oh, God. Making up for all the times that I say people's names wrong. Or people's usernames. I was just looking for my necklace, I took it off. Did the plaster come off with the dodo rail? When I was doing my last project, the hallway, and I made that mistake in the porch and had to take all of the wood off. It was quite messy, lots of the plastic came off. Oh my god, I'm up to date. I'm up to date with my messages. It makes me feel really proud of myself for a weird reason. I actually need to mark the other side. So, where's my ruler? I mean, like, I've not moved from this space. I don't know how it can go missing. That's because I was using the tape measure. Okay, I'm going to sneak behind you and then... Ooh. What could possibly go wrong? Now you're going to see this side. I didn't empty this room before I put the table down, so now it's really hard to move around in here. This is my sewing table that folds up. This little belt here that catches on the front. Saves loads of space. I'm going to quickly mark this out and then I will come back and have another snoop at your comments. So what was it? It was 7.5 inches per one. 7.5. Another one. 7.5. 7.5. 7.5. Last one. Now I can pin it into place. Oh, literally can't move. Cannot move at all. What have I missed? What people have been saying? You'd like to see the fabric. I will show you the fabric just after I show you my little pincushion hedgehog. Isn't that the cutest? Tweed hedgehog pincushion, designed and made by Suzanne. I don't know who Suzanne is, but it probably was a craft fair that I went to. Oh, he's got a bit of... oh, don't know what he's missing there. And I'm going to remove you from the glare because you're in the light. So this fabric I bought from a charity shop years and years ago, because I used to have another business where I made textile homeware, so doorstops and aprons and cards and those sorts of gifts for different shops around Bristol and Bath. And I used to create like over-the-shoulder bags with fabric, either fabric that was end of rolls that was going to landfill, because companies, when they get close to the end of the roll and they can't make enough, it's not easy to like make enough on the machine, they'll just like throw out the rest of the roll, and it'll be meters and meters. It might be like 10 meters or something. They do it less these days, but this is what they were doing back when I was at university. They'll just throw out the rest of the roll. And so you can go and you can salvage those rolls. So anything that was destined for landfill, I would try and pick up, or fabrics from charity shops that were in really good condition that could be reused. So I'm not actually showing you the fabric, I'm just talking about it. But this is it. But this is one of the fabrics that never actually ended up getting made into a bag. And I instead made curtains out of them for my last house. And there was no windows in this house that it fit. But when I came to doing these Roman blinds, I thought, I'm going to use those curtains. They might look really weird in the kitchen, they might not go at all, but we're doing it, so. Definitely do feel like a psycho, yeah. Especially when I put them in this vase. Did that just for you. I am making a Roman blind. Very, very slowly, because I'm basically just chatting. But let's see, you might get a little bit of glare, and I'm very sorry about that. But if you want me to be in the shop, you're going to have this. It's like, oh, too much. Right. I'm going to pin this in place like this on the lines that I did earlier, all the way across, and then it's these little pole bits that go inside. Whoosh. It's coming along very slowly. Are you stressed? No, I think I'm okay. I get a little bit warm when I'm talking a lot, so I'm probably quite red-cheeked. Is it like a vase or something? Like a vase. Yeah, it's like quite. I don't know how to describe that kind of theme, but or that kind of fabric, that kind of pattern, that's what I mean. But that's what I'm making it out of. And I'm gonna sew this probably directly all the way through, so you'll be able to see it on this side, but I don't think it will matter too much. This top is letting me down. Thank you for your rose. Aztec, that is kind of what I mean, isn't it? It does look like that. So there's actually two that I'm making. I'm making this one first, and I've got a smaller one that I'm going to do like a proper YouTube tutorial on. And they're both going in the kitchen. And the reason is that my neighbours I don't know if they would bother watching, but they can see me dancing in the kitchen. And you know, sometimes I just want to pop into the kitchen for a glass of water from bed. And I don't think I should put them through that, you know, it's just not right. I mean, the answer's a dressing gown, but, you know, let's put these up first and then work from there. 90s UK Moroccan. God, it really does feel like that, doesn't it? Three-stepped Roman blinds. Oh, is that what like it means when they come up in? I think that's what I'm doing. I'm such a people watcher. So if I could see in someone's window, I'd warm up the popcorn, and that would be my night. Bye, Spider-Man. The reason I chose Spider-Man was because it was the cheapest outfit that I could find that I could pay for with my creator fund. So that's why I decided on Spider-Man, because it was cheap. What's your favourite tool? Oof. I'd have to close their ears so they don't know that I'm picking favourites. But oh, that's really hard. I mean, I guess just a standard drill, because it's so versatile, you can do so much with it. You can put drill attachments in there, so you can like put an attachment in that will clean the floor, like a brush. Or you can put in like a paddle, what's called like a paddle, which is like a long bit of metal with a squiggly bit on the end. Like a mixing, like when you've got like a mixer with the two bits that mix your cake batter. It's like that, but it's one big one that you can use to mix paint. That's called a paint paddle, and I quite like being able to do that with it. Sometimes I forget that you can see me and I just sit here and read the comments. What did you learn that you would share with the world? Is that to me? I'm trying to work out if it was aimed at someone else, but I can answer that question for fun. What did I learn? Do you mean generally in life? General wisdom? That don't have anything good to say. Get a good drill. I once had a drill that was quite cheap, and you don't get very much power with them. So DIY related. Yeah, I would say if you're like trying something new, see if you can borrow the tools from someone else. Or like I had to break down a wall, and I don't want to buy like that big massive breaker that you use to like pull the bricks apart. And my plasterer actually let me use his, so that really helped, because I didn't have to put the costs out. And if you decide that you quite like something, then you can possibly invest in a tool. Also, if you're going to invest in tools, try and buy something that you can use for multiple things. Trying to think of a good example. I mean, like a drill is really versatile. You can use that for so many things. or like a good mixing bucket, because you can mix all sorts in that, like paint or tile adhesive. How do you stay motivated to finish your house? Good question. Well, there's probably a few things. I obviously do this full time, so my attention isn't being drawn into anything else, and that's quite helpful. So I can give it a lot of my energy. I take breaks. So at the moment I'm taking like a sort of break in between my big projects. So the last thing I did was my hallway. Well, that's actually not true. The last thing I did was my living room, which I rushed to finish before Christmas. And so obviously that's quite a long break in between projects, and I sometimes would just take a week or two, and other times I'll take longer. At the moment I'm just generally really tired, so I'm just not ready to start it. As I like to do quite a lot when I'm doing the projects, and obviously if I do a video per day, that's quite a lot of my day, and so I do have to be ready to embark on the project. I even take like breaks in the middle of projects as well. This is so glary. Do you know what? I'm going to come back over there. Oh, now you get to see it in my nostrils. Find anything good? Pull it out so I don't have to keep craning my neck. I didn't know they did a borrow section actually. Yeah, I'm going to try and borrow a ladder to paint the front of my house. I might even go on there and see if anyone's willing to... Oh, excuse me. I also shop at IKEA sometimes as well. I've actually got a collaboration coming up on a mirror that we're going to DIY together, but that's just a bit of a teaser, as we haven't done it yet, so that's a potential something for the future. Quite exciting. What's your actual job, London-based influencer? So I'm based in Bristol, which is sort of, I don't know where you're based, so I'm going to assume that you don't know. It's sort of parallel to Bristol, parallel to London, so London's here. London, Bristol, next to Wales. And so I do DIY education full time, so I'll create videos for TikTok, and I'm just about to start doing more videos for YouTube, and I work with companies to do influencer marketing sometimes. When I find a brand that I really like, we'll like work together on some content to showcase, like maybe they've got like a new product coming up and I'm like, oh, I get to try it and see what it's like, and get to tell you guys about it and why I think it might be useful. I sound more London. I literally can't even do it. I'm so bad at accents. But now that you know that I'm from Bristol, you'll probably notice it more. It'll come out in my ends of sentences and ooh-ahs. Ooh-arky. Proper lovely. Going down Asdor's. Get some fags for mama, for example. Screwlash. Screwlash in Brazil. Thank you. How's the projector going? So you're talking about the projector in my living room? It's going well. It is supposed to be directly behind where it's being projected onto, but I wasn't able to put it directly behind, so it's slightly off. So the screen comes out like a little bit slightly squished one side, but it's not really that noticeable, so I don't care. It's all good. I didn't really do much DIY again. This is just like the last time I came on live. Just so excited to speak to everybody that I didn't do any DIY. home of Banksy. So I actually worked at Bristol Museum where the Banksy exhibition was held whilst it was going on, and it was really fun. Yeah, it was absolutely crazy because it was so busy, but I did sometimes get free ice creams from the ice cream man, so I think I should head off because I've done no DIY and I forgot to eat dinner because I was doing DIY. No idea if I've got ADHD, but if they told me that I did, I wouldn't be surprised. So many different things would explain so many different things. I'm also heading to bed soon as well. Thank you for joining. It was really nice to chat with you. Yvonne. I'll remember that now. I love going into people's profiles and seeing what their name is from. Sometimes it doesn't say, so I just have to like give them a name that I make up. So I'm going to head off. Thank you for chatting. It's been really nice. I really enjoyed the company. I've got no DIY done, but it's fine. I can do it tomorrow. Oh, thank you for that, Rose. That's very nice of you. Have a lovely evening to you as well, and have a great night. And we'll speak soon. The next time I'm on live will be God knows when, but I will find time at some point to come and say hello. How do you turn this thing off? That's what I need to know now.